so today is the day that we're finally starting to paint the boat.
We got some blood on this episode. And we're still a couple, right?
Maybe. So we painted a lot of it, but bad news. We're sailing good, bad, and ugly. 3 years ago, we bought our boat off Craigslist for $5,000. I'm Kristen, and this is Matt. We are known to break the rules and do things a little less traditional. Hit subscribe to join the adventure. Thanks to our patrons for keeping us going. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sailing GBU. We are currently still in the boatyard and we have some exciting updates to show you. We are this close to painting the boat and it's going to be happening in this video. So let's check out some few things around the boat that we'd like to update you on, and then we have a through-hole situation. So let's jump right into this fiasco.
Let's jump into the fiasco. Oh, and also check it out.
Ew, man.
We got some blood on this episode.
He sanded his whole leg off.
So you may have remembered this giant crack here. From most of the research I did, we found that it was mostly cosmetic. I checked the tension on my keel bolts, they were fine. And so I think it's just, as there's some flex in there, that little bit cracks out. So I got that faired and epoxy resin over it, fiberglass, did all that stuff. So that's gonna look good once it's painted. And I also fixed the hole in the back. All right, so here is where I had that hole in the back. I fixed that with fiberglass, wrapped it, then I faired it to make it smoother, then I wrapped it in fiberglass again, so solid as a damn rock.
All right, let's get to the through hole. What are we doing today?
So here's our old leaky through hole. You may have remembered this from my pool putty epoxy. By the way, the underwater pool putty that I use is just JB Weld. Comes in a little tube, it lasts like a year until you use it, so it's a good thing to have on a boat. But we're trying to get this thing out now. I got most of it off, and I have there's a little nut on the other end that just spins and spins, so I'm gonna have to get Kristen to hold the wrench there while I twist the bottom and get it off. And I had to create a special tool to be able to even try to get this off. So on the inside of the through hole, there's just two little tabs that you can use to get some traction so that you can spin things and tighten things and loosen things. And I had this old handrail that I wasn't using anymore, so I just pounded it out flat with one of the wrenches, and now it fits in there and grabs those two tabs.
I got it, I held the tool on tight, and Matt gave it a good twister upper. It was a dirty job, and I soaked myself in sweat, but we did it. Got the two pieces.
And we're still a couple, right?
Maybe.
That was definitely a lesson in couple patience with my jimmy rigged tools and also not being able to communicate, so Big Mama was a little fussy a few times.
Well, I don't use tools very often, so I have to find out how to use it myself. So you didn't tell me really how to use it. You have to pretty much hold the thing from unclamping. I had to hold that and the thing, so I have to figure everything out on my own because Matt's a bad teacher. Anyways, let's get on to the next thing.
Alright guys, so obviously I have some cleaning up to do, but let's get into the classroom. Since I'm such a bad teacher, let me practice teaching you guys a little something about boats today. So, what we have is the through-hole Seacock system. This is a through-hole, this part that goes here. They call it a through-hole because it goes through your hull. They were very creative with their names. And this is a Seacock. Don't ask me why that's called that, but it has a little shut-off valve, a little ball valve in here, and you can close things and open them. And this system is great for controlling water flowing into your boat and things like that. Like let's say I had a hose coming onto here and I was putting the trash can away or doing something, working on something, and I hit the hose and knocked the hose off, this would start geysing out, you know, a ton of water. So I could just go slam bam and close my Seacock. Well, I opened it, but I could close it, and then the water doesn't come in. So
yeah, this through hole is our kitchen sink, right?
This is our kitchen sink. So now we're going to be able to have our nice kitchen sink flow off the side, you know, throw our little dens down there, and, you know, maybe I'll even get like a macerator pump hooked up so we can have like a guzzler, a thing that chews up all the food and then spits it out. Could work, right?
Are you talking about a garbage disposal?
Yeah, garbage disposal, I think is what
settle yourself down. Let's just get it to work.
So here's my big patch that I had to fix. It's a little bit rough sanded, but don't worry, it's gonna have non-skid over it, so the hole doesn't have to be perfect. But basically what I did here was I had to scrape out all the old dead stuff, fill it in with new wood, and then fiberglass it 4 or 5 times. Took me a long time, and I also put a new hatch up here. I moved one of our small hatches forward because we never used that when it was under our Dodger. It got no wind flow anyway, so I put a permanent piece of plexiglass over there to keep things dry. Move this one up toward the head so that we can get a little more flow inside and have a nicer smelling boat. And then also I got a new handrail that I'm going to try out. Instead of the old wood bridge arcs going through, I didn't really like that. I'm just going to go with one smooth across the top, and I put in 4 fiberglass reinforcements to make those work, to give those a mount.
Alright guys, so we decided to have a nice sundowner session to end the day, our last day of sanding before we're painting. And cheers, we got some nice red wine. And for anybody who's interested in wine, I'd like to thank our sponsors of this week's video, Bright Cellars. It's a wine, and they have sparkling wine based subscription, monthly subscription. You just have to go online, you answer 7 short questions, and then they understand what flavors and what tastes you have for wine. They send what they think would be good for you in a box straight to your house. So no more going to the store, trying to figure out what you want and just picking it up by the label, because I know that's what all people do. Well, some people probably know a lot about wine, but we don't. Another really cool thing that I think is something that's worth getting it for is that if you don't like a bottle of wine in the month, you could let them know, and the next month they replace that bottle for you. They give you something that you might like better. So it's a win-win situation in my book. And right now, Bright Cellars is giving our followers 50% off a 6-bottle box. So make sure you go in the description and hit that link to get your special.
Ain't nothing like half-price wine.
Cheers. So today is the day that we're finally starting to paint the boat. We're pulling the rollers out, we're opening the paint, and the transformation is about to begin. I've been waiting a long time for this part. This is the fun part, in my opinion. I say that now, I might not be saying that later. And we're gonna jump right into it. It's a hot day, so let's not try to get heat stroke.
Let's not get a heat stroke. I don't know why we're crouching down like this. We're a couple of crouching
because we're under the shade.
Crouching tiger, hidden dragons over here. Shout out Drake. But yeah, we're getting ready to put the epoxy primer on. This is going to be our first coat. This is like a protective barrier that's supposed to help against blistering, give a good hard finish to add your anti-fouling onto. So for our epoxy primer, we're using Yodo Mastic 80, which our boys over at Life Raft Incorporated hooked us up with. And I've been on the phone with the pink guy like every day. I've been bothering him. I'm sure he's like sick and tired. I call him like every 2 seconds. I'm like, can I mix it? Can I wash it once it's dry? And he's like, my guy, it's epoxy primer. Go crazy. It's stuff's supposed to be bulletproof. So they've been helping us out a lot over there. And yeah, I'm confident. I'm ready to ride. I could definitely sand the hull forever and make it perfect, but let's just make it good enough for the next 3 or 4 years.
Let's go.
Alright guys, so first things first, I have to turn into a South American anteater type animal called a taper.
Get out of here, man. You're so weird.
Line. Shout out to all my animal buffs out there. Everybody knows what tapers are. Okay, so I have to put tape between what's going to be my hull finish and my bottom paint. So I'm just going to put the tape just on top of this black line. And it should be fun.
Why are we putting it above the black line?
Because everything below the black line is going to be bottom.
Okay,
So
okay, I get it. I better get it together.
Alright, so here's my epoxy primer, my Yodomastic 80 that we discussed. We discussed. We're not disgusted. We discussed it. I have to do 7-to-1 on this, or basically half and half. This whole thing goes into here, so I don't have to get too particular with my measurements on this one because we're going to be using the whole gallon today. But I'm going to mix half so that we can do this half, and then I'm going to mix the other half so that we can do the other half. That way we have more time, because it goes off in about an hour, and we have to stop and make tidbits. So we're gonna do it half and half.
All right, let's get to mixing there, big boy. I take it you're excited about this? Matthew!
Alright, so my boys, you know, the big boys of the schoolyard just came over and said, "Hey, what's up, new kid?" And they said, "Your tape is all jacked up." They said, "It's terrible." He went with a pencil and said, "Wobbly, wobbly," and as he was showing me where to fix it, he said, "This is hopeless. I gotta fix this gringo's tape." So he took it, and what he would do is stick it all the way down and then hold it out and just, like, without even having to touch it, wrap the whole thing. And I said, "Dang, this guy's the man." So his boats look beautiful, all the ones I've seen him work on. So I said, you know what? I'm man enough to admit it. I'm just not the taper that I thought I was.
Yeah, we followed the line and he didn't, and it looks better where he didn't follow it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take that L on my taping skills, but I'm still gonna get some painting done.
Alright guys, so we got our first layer of primer on the bottom, and tomorrow we're coming back and we're going to start painting the deck. I think it looks really good. I'm shocked at how good just the primer looks. I'm ready to go with just this.
Yeah, it made a big difference. Once we put the other layer on, it's going to really fill in any of those thin spots. We have to move the jacks and get that layer as well. But I'm pretty hyped. Everything looks really good. It's not perfectly smooth below the waterline, but that wasn't really my goal. My goal was to make the repairs, make them strong, and I'm not worried about a little bit of, you know, a little bit of fiberglass so you can see.
I think it looks great. I'm happy.
I'm hyped though. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the work, and it's good. Looks good with the paint, and I think it's going to keep the water out.
Hard work is starting to pay off.
Hard work pays off.
Alright guys, so it's the next day. We're going to be cleaning off the top, taping it up, and we're jumping right into paint.
Yep, got a little weather coming through today, so we're going to spend the first part of the day swabbing the deck, getting all the dust off, getting all the particles off, scrubbing off any greasy spots, and then we're going to get with it on the painting. Alright guys, we got all the taping done, we think. I'm sure we missed a spot, but we'll have our handy dandy roll with us. So now we're mixing our hard top, our shiny, nice paint. It's a oopsies, I spilled all my primer out. So it's a 10-to-1 mixture here. So what I'm going to do, we want to do small batches on this because we're doing the detail work with our Badger fur brushes. So what I'm going to do is 20 ounces of the paint and then 2 ounces of the primer. I'm pretty sure that's a 10-to-1, but I'm no math magician, so I don't know exactly if I did it right. But I think that's going to work.
You better know if it's right.
I'm going to make a little cup for me and a little cup for Kristen, and we're going to hit our sides and see who the better painter is.
Yeah, I'm not a good painter, so it's not a competition, Matt. It's who gets the best quality work at the end.
It's always a competition.
I guess that is still a competition, who gets the best quality work. So it's the next day, and we had a bit of problems yesterday. We tried to start up our painting, and right off rip we noticed that it was not going well. We decided to paint in the cockpit to see in a smaller area, so if things weren't going well, that's okay, and we can practice. And it turns out we were shown to use these rollers. I don't even know what these are called. They're fluffier though. It was not. That was not what you're supposed to use. So we quickly had to use up the paint that we had made, so we started cutting in a lot of spots with our brush. We got really good brushes, what, a badger fur or something. Hopefully no badgers were harmed in making of those.
They just cut their hair. They don't cut the skin off. They just give them a trim.
I don't know. Anyways, so we cut in and we used that, and then we had to run all the way to the skipper store, and then we had to try out a couple different more rollers, but I looked up quickly on Google and they said high density foam rollers, so that's what we started using. And it gives a good finish, but it's not a glass gloss finish like we were kind of hoping for, and I don't even know if that's a realistic thing to think you can do with a roller. I think that might be only for an air sprayer. So today we're gonna finish doing the deck for the most part, and we're just gonna keep rolling it, but we're kind of unsure what we're gonna do with the hull because we wanted a really shiny finish. And with rollers, we tried tipping and rolling also, and that just doesn't work for us.
Yeah, I mean, I have a $20 paintbrush, barely dipped it in the thinner, and then just barely touched it, rolled it on, tried to cut the paint. It's a nightmare. I can't get that glossy finish. I watched a bunch of people doing it on internet
Yeah,
videos.
so if you think you're just gonna pull your boat out and paint it,
I'm telling you, I usually ain't a hater, but they're fibbing, bro. There's no way. Like, even the professional painters here that paint boats every day and all these boats look beautiful are like, look, that roll and tip stuff, you can make it look good in pictures, but I don't know.
yeah,
I couldn't
you
get
need
it.
to spray it.
I think
That's
you gotta-
if you want it to look really great, you gotta spray it. Just foam rolling it. It gives a good finish, but it ain't the glass finish.
Yeah, I wanted that Ferrari finish on the hull because I did a lot of sanding, I did a lot of work, so I'm like, I ain't trying to put some orange peel on the outside.
He keeps calling it orange peel. It's not orange peel. It looks great. I think it looks great. So we're gonna get back to work, guys. Stay tuned. It's a transformation. Alright guys, so we painted a lot of it, but bad news. We ran out of our 1 gallon of paint that we thought was gonna last. We sanded far down so we could see a lot of the fiberglass and the brown, so we had to do a lot more thin layers than we thought. So now we're out of paint and we're at a bit of a problem because we don't know if we use another brand bright white paint, it's gonna match the same. So we can't just run to the Skipper store and go get a new gallon. So I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna try to test them, but I'm not feeling very positive about it. We're at a bad situation because it's the weekend, and so a lot of people are busy and we're running out of time. We're just gonna have to add more time onto our marine. I don't know what we're gonna do. Stay tuned to see what happens.